Welcome to That Digital Take. I'm your host, Torri Webster. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm your host, Torri Webster. I am so excited to jump into the chaotic and craziness of today. You are getting a very jet-lagged, burnt-out Torri today, so I hope I can bring up the energy and kind of give you the recap on what's been going on because, guys, things have been a little wild. I've been in too many time zones and too many countries this week, so let's start at the very beginning. We hit up Coachella this year, and I actually missed Coachella last year because of the pandemic and then all of the chaoticness getting back into life. So I've been going for close to 10 years now. I think 2014 or 2015 was my very first year at Coachella. And the thing about Coachella is you become an expert over time. You start to learn the ins and outs of how this festival rolls. And the reality is you need a lot of access to have a lot of fun at Coachella. That's just my POV, but it seems the more access we get, the more fun we have. And so I kind of want to give you a full recap of what we got up to this year. So I actually flew to LA before heading to the festival. My friend Madison and I, we were catching up. This is kind of our weekend. It's our bestie girl weekend. And so the two of us drove from LA to Palm Springs. Now, if you know, the drive from LA to Palm Springs on Coachella weekend is one for the ages. It really can beat down your soul. It is long. It is strenuous. The drive there is never as bad as the drive back. I think one year it took us close to 8 hours to get from Palm Springs to Los Angeles, which is insane. It's like a 2-hour drive. So very, very painful. Anyways, this year it was not so bad. We kind of zoomed out to the desert, stopped for In-N-Out along the way, as girls do. Girlhood, you know how it goes. And when we got to the desert on night 1, we checked into the Parker. So here's what people don't understand about Coachella. The actual festival grounds are in Indio, California, and Palm Springs, which is like the city nearby, is an hour and a half away from Indio in Coachella traffic. Like in a good day, it's close to like half an hour, 45 minutes. But in Coachella traffic, you're looking at another hour and 45, hour and a half. So we were staying in Palm Springs this year with Revolve. We love Revolve. Their team is fantastic. It's always so fun to go to the Revolve trips. And we'll talk more about that as well from the influencer POV. But so we go and we check into Palm Springs and we have a welcome dinner. So the welcome dinner kicks off and it turns out that Kendall Jenner is going to be hosting the after party. Like there's like a celebrity host that night for the event. So we go into this after party, and if you watched Gossip Girl growing up, there's a scene in I believe it's season 1, where they break into this old pool, and it's like the private school pool, and they have this party at the pool. Anyways, imagine that. That is the aesthetic of the party. It's almost like in a spa in the hotel, and Kendall Jenner is the celebrity host. Now, here's my POV as someone that has attended this party with Kendall as the celebrity host. I kind of went into the night thinking, or maybe imagining, that we might get a moment to meet her and or have I'm not saying I was expecting a meet and greet, because I obviously wasn't. I understand that she's kind of there to do a job and she's there to promote a certain, outfit or relationship with the brand. But I was kind of expecting maybe we'd get to interact or like meet the host, or at the very least that she might get up and do kind of a speech to welcome everyone to the event. That did not happen. She kind of came in, took her photos very privately. Like no one was allowed to be near the carpet when she took her photos, which I can understand, again, like the privacy and the POV. Like she doesn't want other people to be able to shoot content of her and post that content without her approval. So completely respect it. It's more just interesting from a marketing and influencer perspective as someone attending the event. I don't know what my expectations would have been, but it just wasn't necessarily what I expected. She kind of hung out in the corner with her friends and had a very intimate time, and then left. And again, fair, totally cool. Like we had a fun event either way. It was more just interesting and, something to bring up because, this podcast is about the behind the scenes of the industry. And I just want to be honest about kind of some of the experiences. So anyways, she hosted, very cool. Obviously didn't get to like chat with her or meet her, but that was the experience. So that kind of kicked us into night. I guess that kicked us into night 1, but really it was like day 1 of Coachella. And then the next day was the Friday. So that was the kickoff of the festival and kind of the real action. So if you've never been to Coachella, these are some seriously long days. Like they start early, they end really late for multiple reasons. So for Coachella day one, we woke up in the Revolve suite, and they kick off their festival with a gifting suite. So if you've seen online, and I did post a small recap Instagram reel about this, the gifting suite at the Revolve Hotel. So in years past, this gifting suite was kind of famous because people would go, and it was a very chaotic experience. People would go in with like massive bags, just like fill the bags with all this stuff. And it was kind of dog eat dog. Like, I want this skirt. I know I want this skirt, like Black Friday on crack cocaine. And my kind of issue, or I won't say issue, but like my stance on it was always a bit complicated, because I'm thinking to myself, these are people in the industry that already have access to a lot of gifting, a lot of free product, a lot of brands. And so to have all those people then be the ones going to this gifting suite to get access to all this free stuff felt really a little bit unfair. It feels like that should be for the customer or someone that's like a true brand ambassador or stan of the brands. But that being said, I do get it. You're getting products in the hands of creators and hoping that your brands might get some coverage or some extra like social media hits if you're a part of this gifting suite. So in years past, it definitely was a little bit chaotic. I will say this year it was so organized. It was very low key. People were only really taking products that kind of fit their style and fit their needs. And keep in mind, everyone that's kind of grabbing stuff in these gifting suites, it ends up being shared with their community anyways. Like they'll host giveaways or they'll give it to their friends. I mean, that at least is my intention. So yeah, that was a bit of the behind the scenes of the gifting suite. They have some cool bathing suits, some cool skincare products, hair products, obviously clothes, all that good stuff. And you're kind of able to go in. It is what it sounds like. You're basically able to go in and pull whatever you think you might need for the Coachella/Revolve Festival weekend ahead. So very interesting. That's again, some interesting tea of the behind the scenes of the influencer lifestyle. So anyways, we finish up the gifting suite. We head over to the pool party. They kind of Revolve has a cool kickoff pool party where everyone can kind of mingle, meet, hang out, have a drink by the pool to kind of kick off the weekend. This is on the Friday. So we go to that, and then Coachella kind of begins. So the whole sentiment is you basically party hop. You party hop your way through the weekend. So if you don't have good party stamina, you are screwed, my friend. So we head to a Celsius party. This was the first actual party we went to that wasn't associated to Revolve. And I had never been to this party before. A couple of the friends that we were with had hit this last year, and they said it was a blast. So we go in with like great vibes, good intentions. I'm obviously excited to see some celebrity sightings because we've kind of heard through the grapevine they're having a bunch of, awesome, cool celebs come to this party. So we roll up to this Celsius party, and here's the other thing about Coachella. If you don't have a driver for the weekend, there's no way that you can get everything done. There's no way that you can actually drive around to different parties and party hop. So the truth of the matter is you end up paying quite a bit of money to have a personal driver, or most of the like higher end creators and influencers do this, where you'll have a personal driver stay on site with you, and then they kind of take you from place to place. There's a few reasons for that. One, it's really hard to get Ubers in the desert. Two, if you don't have someone waiting on you, then you end up like waiting on the sidelines, like trying to get a hold of people to see if you can get a ride. And three, like ultimately, a lot of people have contracts where they actually have to be showing up to these events to create content and get paid. So if you have that and that's the situation, then you need to be able to get to those parties to actually get your deliverables done. So anyways, we have this awesome driver, and he's kind of on our beck and call to help us throughout the weekend. So he drives us to this Celsius party, and we get kind of 10 minutes to the door of this party, and the traffic is literally deadly. Like we cannot get into this party. And we're like, okay, I guess it's time to walk. So again, you're in desert heat. It's 35 degrees, dressed in your little skirts with your cowboy boots. And I did wear cowboy boots that day. What a disaster. Like, side note completely, but if you're not wearing running shoes, you may as well just simply pass away, because it actually killed me. I don't know how I lived to tell the tale. I wore cowboy boots, probably walked 20,000 steps in them. Anyways, we make it into the party. This is the important part. We make it into the Celsius party. It's so fun. T-Pain performs. The vibes are high. the party is going down. We somehow ended up on like we ended up in this like awesome kind of VIP area. They were bringing up drinks and food and all that good stuff. And through the corner of my eye, like I see that the kind of booth, like that's the way they were set up. They were almost like private booths. So the booth beside us was empty. And I'm thinking, oh, who is going to be the fabulous celebrity that ends up in the booth beside us? Cut to Megan Fox arrives, not with a big posse. Like she's rolling in with just like her close friends, maybe a photographer, like maybe one security, but very low key. And she's looking fab. She's festival ready. She's in that booth now, enjoying T-Pain, like dancing along, whatever. And she was just so chill. I mean, again, kind of my POV at Coachella is you just kind of have to leave the celebrities alone, in the sense that they're also there to enjoy their time and have fun, and they really want to party, or they're there on contract and they have to be shooting content. So you just don't want to be like bugging people. All of the chicks from Love Island were also there. And so this was really funny, like from my perspective, because I'm sitting there dancing with my friends, having a drink, and all of the Love Island girls come running up to Megan Fox's booth. And they say, Megan, we really love you. Like, is there any chance that like we could get a photo? And I really liked Megan's response because she was so chill and honestly so kind. But she was just honest. She said, girls, thank you so much, but I'm so sorry. If I took a photo with you, I'd have to take a photo with everyone. And I think that's a really fair response for Megan Fox, because let's be honest, every single person at that party would have loved to get a selfie with her, get a photo with her. And I think that's just a baseline, really kind but fair answer. She waved to them. She like had a moment with them, still was super nice, but just didn't have to get intimate enough to like take photos with people. And I honestly think that's really fair. Again, maybe I'm jaded and maybe I've seen too much of the industry, but I honestly think that's a really nice, fair response. And it was cool to see, like, just as a bystander. I just like was watching this happen because I'm like, I mean, I would have loved a photo, but I'm glad I overheard that whole conversation because I'm like, great, okay, let her be, all good. So that was really cool. Anyways, we finished at that party and then it was time to party hop once more, but now we were going to the actual festival grounds. So you take another kind of 45-minute drive, you drive to Coachella, and this year we had VIP passes. So the way it goes at Coachella from an entrance standpoint, you have a GA pass, you have a VIP pass, you have an artist pass, you have an artist guest pass, and then you also have, I guess, just a full-on artist pass, like if you are performing. Again, I could be like messing that one up a bit because obviously I've never performed at Coachella, so I don't actually know what the actual artist wristband looks like. But you can have an artist guest wristband that gets you access behind the stage. We've had that wristband in years past. It's really cool. You kind of get to enter from different parts of the festival. You have different areas where you can hang out backstage and kind of like watch the performances. And that's kind of where all the celebs will be, just because it's more private. They don't have to walk through the very busy festival grounds, to actually make it into the festival. So someone like, for example, Taylor Swift obviously was at Coachella. She's going in the back roads. She's not walking through the GA entrance. So anyways, we had VIP passes this year and we got in for night one. We honestly had a blast. I think it was my favorite day of the festival. Billie Eilish came out with Lana Del Rey and just the whole night was so magical. It was so cute. Like Billie and Lana Del Rey, I always want to call her Lana Del Rey. I think it's Lana though, for sure. I always mess that up. But when they were performing together, it was really cool. It was like two generations kind of having this moment at the festival grounds. It was actually emotional. Like I can't say I'm normally like shedding a tear at a festival, but it was so moving. It was a really beautiful performance and we had the best time there. And then Madison and I, we were like, okay, let's go to the Do Lab. We kind of wanted to have a more low-key Coachella this year in the sense that there were years where, and I'll get into this in our topic of the week, but there were years where we felt like, or at least definitely I felt like, we were kind of running around ourselves ragged to like get good content and like, you know, you're kind of dividing your attention in a bunch of different ways. You really want to enjoy the artist, but you're still kind of there working. You need to get content. It was like all these like crazy things kind of happening all at once. So this year our intention was, let's just go vibe. Let's have good vibes. Let's rock out. Let's, you know, head to the Do Lab. So that's kind of where more like the DJs, the EDM, very hardcore people hang. And we're like, this is our time. So we go to the Do Lab. And as we're walking up, one of the women, like right by the artist section that I was referring to, like how you can kind of enter a different portion of the stage, she was kind of standing there and she recognized my friend Madison. And she's like, oh my God, hey, why don't you girls come with me? Like I can give you guys access to behind the scenes. And we're like, yes, love it. Thank you. So we we end up going behind the scenes and we go up on stage. She gives us a wristband and she's like, yeah, like just go hang up on stage. And we're like, what? Okay. So we get this access. We end up on stage at Coachella at the Do Lab. Kind of crazy. Was not on my bingo card, but I said, thank you so much. So fun. Kind of just raved out all night, danced to the music. That was such a fun, epic experience. I was like, this was truly iconic. So that kind of closed off our Friday night at Coachella. And then we got home super late. It was probably like 3 a.m. And then here's the thing. You get up and you do it all again the next day. And that's where the stamina kicks in because you've already had a long, hot day in the desert. You're exhausted. You're dehydrated. If you're drinking alcohol, that's like a whole other level. And then you're waking up and you're doing it all over again. So here comes Saturday, full energy. We're now at Revolve Festival. So in years past, it had been like 1 or 2 days. But this year it was just 1 day and it was so fun. Ludacris performed. T-Pain also performed at Revolve Festival. I didn't know that I was a huge fan of T-Pain, but I am. T-Pain, I love your work. You are a great performer. He honestly gave it his all and he was on stage for an hour and a half, both days, just absolutely slaying. So that kind of changed my perspective. I left this weekend being a big fan of T-Pain. And from there, after Revolve Festival, they had a bunch of like brand activations at Revolve. Like we took a bunch of content. It was kind of a bit more work heavy, but we still kind of like got the drinks flowing, like we were easing ourselves into the day. And then we headed to Coachella day 2. And day 2 was just as fun. No Doubt performed. The vibes were really high. We went to a more like private dancey club tent that day. I don't even remember what it was called. We were kind of just like wandering around, like having the best vibes. When we were in the VIP section, I saw Patrick Ta and Alex Earl. And I don't know if it was just the liquid courage or just that it's Coachella and the vibes are so good, but I was like, oh, I just want to go say hi. Like, why the heck not? She seems so chill on the internet. So I was like, I feel like she'd be really welcoming in real life. So I just straight up walked up to her at the bar and I was like, hey, Alex, I like love your videos. Like, and we just got into an awesome combo. She's so friendly. She's so nice. I mean, it makes total sense why she's popped off. Like, she is just as kind and cool and calm and collected in real life as she comes across on the internet. And she just comes across so fun. And I was telling her that I was from Toronto and I was like, oh, is it weird that people come up to you? Like, I'm so sorry. And she was like, no, not at all. You're so cool. Like, so we had a really fun convo. We took some photos together. Oh, and this was the funny thing. So I had bought her light on Amazon, like, you know, the famous Alex Earl little light that she clips onto her phone. And I had mine on me. And I said, Alex, we have to take a selfie using your light because this is in true influencer fashion. And she laughed and she's like, oh my God, it's so bright. I'm like, girl, you're the one that influenced me to get this light in the first place. So it was just like a really funny moment, but she's so sweet. So I just wanted to like share that little tidbit about her because she was really cool. So Saturday night rolls onward and here is where the influencer POV kicks in. So sometimes you have deliverables at an event. Like sometimes you can shoot from home, sometimes you can shoot from somewhere else, but sometimes you literally have to be on site to capture the content. And that's in your contract. That's a part of the deliverable. Like that is the situation. So that was the case for one of the nights, the Saturday night after we had been out all day. One of my friends had a commitment to shoot a brand content at an after party. So we were like, okay, it's time to roll. It's time to work. So now it's 2 a.m. We had not only been out the whole day before, we had not only been out the whole day Saturday at Revolve Festival and then at Coachella, but now it's 2 a.m. and we have a brand shoot. Can you believe? Like this is truly where people don't understand the job of creator because I think people imagine, oh, you're at Coachella, you have to shoot content that's just so easy. And I'm like, okay, then you do it. Then you stay up until 2, 3 a.m. on site shooting content. So we go to this after party, we capture the content. Thank God. This is when I was like, thank God we have a driver because if he had not been there to like roll us up, get us to the event after Coachella, drive us, it was a lot. We get the shoot done. We probably get back to the hotel at 4 a.m. and then the chaos continues. Then I have a flight to Italy the next morning. Literally, I can't make this shit up. It never ends. So I go to bed at 4 a.m. I wake up Sunday of Coachella. I always was going to miss the Sunday just because of timelines and I had to get to Italy for another press trip. So I hug my friends goodbye. I hug Madison goodbye. I roll out the door and I get into a car. I zoom to LAX. I'm at LAX. I fly from LAX to Frankfurt like overnight on the Sunday. I wake up in Germany. Like, this sounds like a fake story. It's not. I lived this week, hence why I'm overtired. I land in Germany. I say, not done yet. I get back on a plane. I fly from Germany to Bologna. I've never been to Italy before, okay? So I'm like very excited to land in Italy. I land in Bologna and I have no turnaround time. I basically have to land. I go to the hotel. I shower. So it's like 4 p.m. now, Europe time. I shower. I put on an outfit. I end up at a like cocktail brand dinner, welcome dinner at 5 p.m. Can't lie. So then I have events all night. Like, I'm at a work event from 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. Europe time. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't think I can say a ton about why I was in Italy. I have signed a lot of things, NDAs, contracts, all the good stuff. However, maybe a little bit of context because I was able to post a little bit online. I did go to Italy with Shell Canada, and we did get to drive Ferraris and experience the brand of Ferrari. I don't think I can share much more about my experience, which is sad, but I think just the case to keep everybody happy. If it turns out that I can share more down the line, I absolutely will. But that is kind of what led me here this week. I finished my press trip in Italy. I flew back and then I got stuck. This was the worst part. So I'm like so excited to get home. I've been on a press trip back to back. I finish in Italy. I get on my flight from Bologna, and this time I'm flying through Germany again, but through Munich. And I get literally stuck in Munich for 24 hours. They delayed, so I missed my connecting flight. This was the worst part. I don't know if you guys know this, but I was once cast in The Amazing Race. I don't know if I've ever publicly talked about this, but I was cast in The Amazing Race a few seasons ago. We didn't end up fulfilling or moving forward with the contract just because it felt like we had to give up a little bit too much as our lives as influencers to be able to be on the show. So it just didn't make sense. So we passed on the opportunity. But what ended up happening was, as I was landing, I knew that my Bologna like connecting flight had been delayed, and I basically had like a 20-minute window. So I was like, I have to try. Like, you know, sometimes they hold the plane, sometimes it's delayed, and they'll still like keep it for the people that are coming from a connecting flight. So by the time I get off the plane, I'm like, I just have to give her. Like, I just have to run through this airport. Like, my life depends on it, because if there's a small chance that this Lufthansa flight has waited for me, then I want to be on the plane. Like, I want to get home. So I literally run through this airport, Amazing Race style, and I get to the top of the tallest escalator I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm holding my away luggage, like my small little carry-on. And I have this kind of like purse on my arm as well. And I've obviously been sprinting, so I'm out of breath. And I go to like kind of release my purse and put my purse on my carry-on. So my, like the whole like, what would you call that? The handle was like fully up. So up on my carry-on. I twist as I'm getting on the tallest escalator of all time, heading down, and I lose control of the trolley. It literally goes just shooting down this escalator. Thank God there was only one pedestrian on the actual escalator going down. I start screaming. I mean, she was alerted right away because of the sound of the luggage just like heading down. I'm like, move. It's like happening in slow motion. It's like rolling down. I'm not joking. Probably 45 stairs. Like, it was the steepest. It was like going down 3 levels in the Munich airport. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm also worried because my entire like makeup collection is in that carry-on. I'm like, everything is breaking. The powders are crumbling. Like, I'm just having so much anxiety. But at the same time, I'm like, I still have to make this freaking flight. So I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, it's so chaotic. My whole luggage gets ruined. It's all scratched down the edges. Like, I can't believe it didn't break glass. I can't believe it didn't break the handle. Like, whatever, God willing, I get to the bottom and my baggage is there. And I'm like, okay, carrying onward. So I get on this like trolley that then is like moving. I guess I don't even know what you'd call that. A monorail. I was on a monorail. So I get on the monorail and I'm zooming to this other terminal. I get to the terminal. I run to the gate. The gate is empty. There's nobody there. they've left. They probably left, honestly, 45 minutes prior. And here's me just trying to get through this damn airport. I'm like, oh my God. So then I see this really cute couple and they're a bit older and they kind of see me struggling and they say, oh, did you miss your flight as well? And I said, yeah. They said, oh, come with us. We're going to the Lufthansa like service center. We're going to like get our updated flights. I'm like, okay, great. FML basically, because I know in Europe there's only like one flight out a day. So I'm going to be screwed. So I get to the service center and they're like, yeah, ma'am, so sorry. Like you're absolutely leaving tomorrow. Like there's no other flights to Toronto. I'm like, sick. Love this for me. Like I've only been on the road in so many time zones in 7 days, but what's one night in Munich, honestly, at this point? So I get on like some weird taxi service. They drive me to this weird airport hotel. And then the only fun part about this was that all of the people that had missed their flights that day ended up in the same hotel. So it kind of was like a party. And like there was people from all over the world. So we all kind of just like had dinner together and like had some German beer. So in the end, it wasn't the worst thing ever. It just was not what I needed after the longest week of my life. And then I got home. I finally got home. I then spent the last 3 days packing up my entire life. I think I told you guys this in the last episode, but when this comes live, it'll be slightly delayed. But my unit is going on the market. So I had to like pack up my entire apartment. And that led me here. So it's been a really interesting past 10 days, and hopefully that is enough of an update to keep you on your toes to know that the influencer life is never boring. So let's head into our topic of the week. This week, we're going to be tackling 3 practical tips for combating imposter syndrome. Now, this is from the lens of influencer marketing, and the reason I wanted to use this week to talk about this topic is because of Coachella, for a few reasons. I remember when I first started going to Coachella nearly 10 years ago, how much comparison I felt like I was doing at the festival. It kind of feels like the Influencer Olympics. It kind of feels like everybody's doing more than you. But the truth is, like, this is the case. There will always be someone that has more reach, more numbers, more success. But how are you going to harness that motivation? Do you sink in the industry and let it kind of ruin your confidence, or do you swim? And in my perspective and from my POV, confidence is truly a muscle and something that I've been able to really harness and leverage and focus on over time. So when I started going to Coachella 10 years ago, I think I would go to those parties and feel insecure and have a sense of imposter syndrome. Like, why am I invited to these cool parties? Like, why do I get access to these events? And now I have such a different perspective. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what opportunities lie in this room for me? And like, yeah, why can't I go say hi to Alex Earl and make that connection? Why can't I go up to Patrick Ta and say hi? Like, it's the mindset shift. So that's what really motivated me tackling this topic today. And I kind of wanted to share 3 practical tips because these are even things that I keep in mind when I'm trying to build that confidence and manage that confidence and overcome those obstacles. So the first thing and the first piece of advice that I want to give is keeping a success journal. Now, this looks different for everyone, but if you regularly document your accomplishments, whether it's positive feedback from someone that you received or moments where you overcame a challenge, then it can serve as really tangible reminders of your skills and successes that you have, especially when that doubt starts to arise. And reflecting in this journal can also create and help you internalize your achievements and recognize your own growth over time. So it actually creates like a full dynamic that you can look back at and understand where you started, where you've been, and where you're going. And this looks different for everyone because sometimes it's more of a manifestation journal. I like the 5-minute journal, which is a lot more based in gratitude. But specifically when it comes to moments of imposter syndrome, or if you feel like you're doubting yourself, having those little milestones written down, being like, oh yeah, I remember when I wanted 10,000 followers. Now I have 100,000 followers. Like you can actually see the path to success and see where you've gone. And it really helps you kind of combat that moment of feeling like a fraud, which is great. So number 2, this is another piece of realistic advice. So realistic advice. Sorry. I mean, realistic expectations. Number 2 is set realistic expectations for yourself. So understand that everyone has moments of doubt, every single one of us, no matter how confident you are. And it's impossible to know everything or perform perfectly every single time. So if you set those achievable goals and acknowledge them, then learning and putting that a part of the process can reduce those feelings of failure and make you feel better about yourself. And again, with the Coachella example, I went into that weekend being like, okay, I know that my audience likes when I post Coachella content. If I can get even one piece of viral content, that means I feel successful this weekend. Just one. And I did. I had a video pop off on TikTok, great success, awesome, like had used a strategy that I knew might work and it kicked off. So that's perfect. Like that's a great example of I set my mind to something. I had a realistic expectation of what I wanted. I met that expectation. I'm allowed to pat myself on the back and be like, I feel good about that. Where I've made a mistake in previous years or with other experiences is you just go in with such unrealistic expectations. You're like, I want to post 5 times a day. I want 5 viral videos. I want X, X, and X. I want a photo with a celebrity. I want this. I want that. No, like that is overwhelming. It's not tangible. It's not real. It's not based in something that we know that we can achieve. And then that is what leads you down the path of imposter syndrome. You're not meeting your own goals. So if you can't meet that one goal, you feel like you failed. But the reality is you actually got one viral video, which with all good intention is actually really hard and really awesome. So I think it's about reframing and just making sure that your expectations are at a very reasonable place from the influencer POV. Okay, and then number 3, and this is probably the biggest one, the one that I take the most seriously and the one that I put into practice the most often. Go offline. So when I feel like I'm really in my head as a creative, the absolute worst thing, and I mean worst thing I can do, is go on Instagram or TikTok. Not only do I feel like it blocks me from coming up with my own thoughtful and creative ideas, but it also gives me too much time and space to compare my content to the other creators. This is such a disaster. You can't do this. You cannot scroll. You cannot doom scroll. What ends up happening is you cannot come up with your own dynamic thought. You feel like all the content you have to create has to come from other things that are currently going viral. And it's so funny because it's the moments where you release and you're not even thinking about what's going on the internet. Those are the moments that click with your audience. Those are the moments that really have the through line, that feel relatable, that feel real, because it's you taking space and spending time in the real world and being remotivated and then telling that story. And something else I like to implement under this go offline kind of point is I love walking. I love taking time outside. I love reconnecting to fresh air. I'm not a huge nature girly, but like something about a walk can really bring me back. So when I feel like I can't be creative, when I feel like I can't come up with a content piece to save my life, I need to go offline. I need to maybe write in my journal. These are things that I still put into practice to mitigate and to combat any feelings of imposter syndrome. Because let's be honest, like we've all worked hard to be where we're at. We've all worked hard to be here. Like there's no reason why we have to be doubting ourselves. And I do believe that the confidence that you can build over time can lead you then into those rooms at a Coachella, at a Revolve Festival, where you just feel like you can be your truest form of yourself. You don't care what other people are posting about. You don't care what brands they're wearing. You don't care what they're doing because you're so confident in the stories you're telling and your truth that you can just show up and be your most authentic self. And I think that's why I had the most fun this year, because I just truly embraced it. I was just fully in the moment. And yes, I did still have to create content, which does remove me sometimes from being totally present. But the reality is that's still the job. So it's like finding this really fine line of doing the job, being professional, shooting the content, and then also living in the moment and being confident and feeling present. So that's my episode today. That was a lot of words, but I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the full chaotic recap, because honestly, I'm going to sleep for 10 days. I love you guys. Mean it. See you in the next episode. Bye.